Hi, everyone.
What's going on, everybody?
Welcome to the first episode of the AdultDeck podcast for the third season.
We're on number 3.
That feels weird to even say, honestly. It's just, going into this, of course, I was optimistic, extremely. And then along the way, realizing that some things aren't as easy as other.
Elaborate, what you mean?
So one of the lessons that I've learned throughout doing this is that, okay, let me back up. First of all, welcome to the AdultDeck podcast. I like to call it the place where you come learn to stack your cards against the game of life.
There we go.
I am your host, Ronnie Scott, and I am here with my amazing husband and co-host and IT director and all those good things.
What's going on?
So this is an introduction into our third season, a reintroduction into the podcast.
Allow me to reintroduce. Oh, no, okay.
A reintroduction into the podcast, into the community that we're building, introduction into my platform, all of those good things.
Okay.
So we were talking about lessons.
Yes.
And I have learned a plethora of lessons along the way. I started Scott Enterprises at the end of 2019. That's when I started kind of thinking about it, coming to terms with, everything that I wanted to do and brainstorming the first version, I'll say, of what I intended Scott Enterprises to be.
Right.
However, I was very focused on the business aspect of everything. I wanted it to be profitable. I wanted to make sure that, we would be able to sustain ourselves and everything that we're doing. However, I've grown to realize that it's not as much about making Scott Enterprises a business, but more so building a community of people.
Okay.
So
That's the goal in moving forward now that you've learned those lessons.
That's the goal moving forward, to build a community of like-minded individuals. I say, of young adults or adults who are young at heart.
Young at heart. That's what they love to say in the church.
Young at heart. Who don't necessarily have life figured out.
Right.
If anything this past year has taught us is that everything that we thought we knew and everything that we thought we had going for us.
Just dump that out.
It's like...
Let's get that out of there.
I'm not going to say a new world order because that's very dramatic.
I mean, in our world, the world of the...
Scots?
Yeah.
The world of the Scots.
There you go.
But in the world, there have been so many ideals and so many, I don't know. I'm losing my words.
Take your time.
I know.
I'm just
excited.
You're nervous.
I'm just excited.
First time back.
So I feel like there's been a very routine, regimented way that you do things. There are a set of rules that you have to follow if you want to make it in any industry. So for example, one of the things I really had to learn and really had to change up was how I thought about business, quote unquote.
Okay.
And I mean that by, I was brought up with the very typical, very simple rules of corporate America, especially being a black person in corporate America, you can't say certain things
unless you're making money. You gotta have a specific brand, or the way you speak has to be a specific way.
I would say the way you speak, the way you present yourself, all these other things. So the first season of Scott Enterprises, and when I first started it, I was still focused on the rules, quote unquote, of corporate America.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that, our subject matter was friendly for everybody. I wanted to ensure that, we were able to reach people, but I wanted to make sure we were palatable. I think that's the word I wanted to use.
You wanted everybody to like us.
I wanted everybody to like us. I wanted everybody. But, you know, throughout my own personal growth and looking at things and being part of the world as it is today, as everything has changed, those corporate rules don't necessarily work for today
not
or what we're trying to do. Like,
I don't like being put in a box.
I tried. I really did. But no, being in a box does not work for us.
You see, my shoulders go square and then round. I don't like boxes.
So first season, I just wanted everything to be super safe and make sure that, you know, we were reaching the masses and not offending.
Yeah, hurting anybody's feelings.
Or doing things that people didn't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
But through
Season
growth,
3.
but through the growth, I have realized, and then even towards going back to season 1, towards the end of season 1, when everything started to ramp up and 2020 really started to get crazy, if you go back and look at the videos, that's when I started struggling extremely hard with my mental health. I lost my job. I was struggling because we have our own life that we have to maintain.
Yeah.
And it was
rough for a while. Touch and go.
Yeah. So those last couple of episodes of the first season were very, very dark. And because of that, so I took a break after, and that's kind of what prompted these seasons.
I don't know. I wouldn't say it was dark. I would say it was more personal for you.
Really?
Instead of more dark.
I think it was dark.
But
I say that because I feel like, based on the old rules, quote unquote, and that's what we're going to call them, because these are the new house rules. So based on the old rules, I felt like that wasn't on brand, because and this is just, you know, me and my own inner monologue coming up with BS things. But I felt like me sharing my mental struggles and me, you know, being extremely vulnerable was not beneficial to our brand.
Okay.
Because I didn't want people to be offended or people to be like, oh, Sharon's crazy. Like,
right.
None of that. But again, throughout the growth and throughout, you know, taking a break from the podcast between seasons 1 and 2 and reevaluating how we want to bring our message forward and what we want to focus on. That's kind of why season 2 was very outlined, regimented, topic answers. It wasn't too much personal business. Yeah. It wasn't room.
We didn't stray from the topic too much. No ad-libbing.
No talking about our own personal struggles and our issues. But, you know, I've been thinking about it and I've been in prayer, and I'm starting to realize that, again, that wasn't quite what I was trying to do. Lessons are extremely important to me, to our brand, but not necessarily like the 1 + 1 = 2 lessons. Yeah. More so the lessons of, okay, tell me your life story and let me learn from your mistakes type lessons. So moving forward, season 3, that is where we're going to go more into. And I'm, you know, perfecting, chiseling away at, you know, all of the things that I thought Scott Enterprises was going to be. But growing and learning, and like I said, the reason why I say we don't have it all figured out is because with new information, you change.
Right. You get a different perspective.
You get a different perspective, you become uncomfortable, and things become more okay to do. Period. Full stop. So I see. So I'm trying to make sure I have everything wrapped up cohesively. I am learning and perfecting my craft as a podcaster, as a host, as a everything.
Yeah, I got you. Producer, director,
writer. Look, and I'm self-taught. Like there's nobody else that I've been like, oh, hey, how do you do this? Tell me some words, teach me.
I mean, unless you want to save it for an actual sponsor, you have been taking a master class in certain things.
I have. But that's what I'm saying. Okay. Self-taught as in there's nobody else around that does what I do, essentially.
Okay.
On the personal level.
In our lives.
In our lives.
Okay. Gotcha.
But learning and teaching myself is going out and finding classes on marketing, finding classes on, specifically from other creators, directors, producers like me who are making their own content.
Further along than we are.
Oh, extremely.
And have struggled the way we've struggled, so why not learn from their mistakes?
Exactly. Look, if I don't have to make a mistake to learn from it, I'm not gonna. So I am self-taught. And I say that to say I appreciate everyone who's been rocking with us from the beginning. Yeah. I appreciate every single one of our listeners, right? Every single one of our subscribers, every single person who likes a post, every single person who listens to a podcast. I appreciate you all because you're all growing and learning with us, and you're growing and learning with me. I see podcasting as like a social experiment because I get to go back and see tangible growth. I get to go back and look at the first seasons and how, I mean, even as far as lighting, camera, our equipment.
How our equipment's changed.
How our equipment has changed.
Sound might sound better. We got better lighting. We got better background.
Yes.
All that good stuff.
All that good stuff. And then for me, growing a set and like saying, okay, how do I want our stuff to look? How do I want our videos to be presented? Like
every season we were doing something different. You saw our first season, our second season was different, and now we're standing. Because I feel like I talk with my body. I get you. I don't, but I get you.
So that's why we appreciate you growing with us, because podcasting is a social experiment. It's being able to record yourself and see and have evidence to see how you've grown and how you changed and how you've essentially developed and become a different person.
I gotcha.
Not different, but a more improved version, like your 2.0.
You're getting upgrades.
You got iOS 1.0, iOS 2.0.
I got you.
We're upgrading slowly but surely.
You came in with the plastic hubcaps, now you got 22-inch rims. We get it.
Next season is gonna have spinners. We're gonna keep it going.
Look, man, it's gonna have undercarriage lights. We're gonna have tinted windows.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be awesome.
So thank you all for moving with us. I know that at times I talk about things that are just off in the wind. I try to keep to an outline. It don't always work that way.
Try to keep it to under an hour. Always get that way.
I mean, second season we kept things under an hour. Try. But this next season, since we have guests, there are going to be more longer videos. So
not even two-parters.
Not even two-parters. No, I'm not doing two-parters.
Oh, okay, I was wrong.
No. Because I feel like with a two-parter, you get one on a Saturday, and then you go about the rest of your week, and then I just, drop you into the middle of another episode, and it's like, okay. I forgot what we was talking about a little bit. So just stick with us for that hour. Or if you want to break it up your own, watch 30 minutes, come back at another time, watch another 30 minutes.
Hey, we need the interaction anyway, so.
Yes. So I want to start by saying thank you to all of our supporters. And just thank you. Thank you all for rocking with us. Thank you all for sticking with us. You all are the first people starting this community. And we appreciate that. And what's next on that outline? So I talked about season 3. Season 3 is going to look a little different. Like I said, we are moving away from the, textbook teaching to more so experience-based teaching.
Personal experiences.
Yes. Okay. And because of that, this next season is going to have a lot more guests. Even the first two guests that we have, or
first two
episodes of guests that we have is really, really interesting. Like, even when we were recording those episodes, I was like,
we had some real conversations.
We had some real conversations.
Expensive, all of that.
look, like tears and everything. It's great. But this season and moving forward, I am just learning, and like I said, at the end of season 1 is when my mental health struggles, I guess, were, what's the word for, like, inflamed? They flared up.
Yeah.
They flared up.
At your forefront?
Yes, they flared up. But since then, you know, I've been going to therapy. I've been learning new things about myself, unpacking what trauma, that's what it is. Unpacking trauma and things that have been like ingrained in me, and letting those things go and realizing more and more of who I am as an individual, who I am as a person of my own right. So to explain that a little bit better, I was reading a book titled Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski. And in the book, she talks about, she has a metaphor for our personalities and the way that we, you know, are as a being as a garden.
Break it down.
So everybody has a garden, and a mental garden. And when you're first born, your parents, your family, your caretakers are responsible for taking care of your garden because you don't know how to yet.
Okay.
So while in your garden, you know, those caretakers, they have your best interest at heart. So they'll plant some things that leave you, and I like to think of these as like values and morals and values. They plant those things in you, and they let it grow, let it cultivate. However, unintentionally, sometimes your family members and caretakers plant weeds in your garden.
Yeah.
Not intentional.
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose.
Never on purpose.
But they're weeds. They're not necessarily beneficial to being there, but here they are sprouting up, growing anyway. Once you become a little older, based on how your caretakers took care of your garden is how you learn to take care of your garden.
Okay.
And some people, again, only have great things in their garden. They have all the beautiful roses, all the beautiful... Oh, am I loud to y'all?
Nah, ignore me, woman.
Okay.
It's my job. I'm AV, audio visual, so I gotta make sure everything's right.
Really?
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Just ignore me.
So garden. Everybody has a garden. Once you get to a certain age, you learn to take care of your own garden based on the things that your family members have planted. Now, once your garden is in your control, you may realize that I don't really like those type of flowers. Or, I don't like these weeds all over the place. So you start to clean up your own garden. And that's what I like to think of therapy as, learning to clean up my own garden.
Take out the weeds you don't need.
Take out the weeds that you don't need. Take out the things that you don't like. You can't take those out of your garden.
I mean, you can take out what's causing those adverse reactions.
I mean, no.
See what I did there?
Garden metaphor more
Brought
so.
it back.
Stop. The garden metaphor more so applies to your mental. So like your body image, how you feel about yourself, your love language, learning your love language.
Okay.
You know, these are the tools that we use to clean out and cultivate our garden to how we want them to be as adults. And it's not to say that your parents or caregivers were wrong in the way they took care of your garden, but they did the best with what they had. And that's also another thing that I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
They did the best with what they had. But now that you are in control of taking care of your own garden, and
you're self-conscious now.
Yes. And you have more tools and more research, and you've learned more lessons, you know that weeds aren't really good for your garden.
Mm-hmm.
So you start to pull them out. And like pulling anything out is not comfortable. It's not easy. But once you can stand back and look at your garden and feel and see all the bright, beautiful things in the way that you have intended for your garden to be, that's liberating. And it's not to say that garden is a metaphor for mental health here.
We're keeping up.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So it's like I said, it's not to say that what your parents planted in your garden was bad. It's not to say that, everything was horrible and it shouldn't have been done. No, it's the way things were previously, and it's doing the best with what you had. Our parents and the people who came before us do not have the access to the resources and the positive reinforcement.
Oh, okay.
That. And the positive reinforcement and the, I guess, knowledge even about therapy, about knowing what's bad about mental health.
Some of the older generation also, they don't see a need for it.
They don't see a need for it.
They were never taught, as you said, they didn't have the tools when they were younger to even know about it. So they feel, what they love to say is don't go airing your dirty laundry.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if it's dirty and you just washed it, it's got to dry out eventually.
Not only that, how about if it's dirty, it needs to be cleaned? You may not, some people go to a laundromat. You may not have a washer and dryer.
You may not have a washer and dryer.
You gotta go to a laundromat.
You might not have all the tools at home by yourself, but there's so many different ways to access therapy. You don't even have to go through the traditional in a building on a long couch, somebody with a notebook. You can text people now.
You can text people.
You can do it online.
Yep.
All of that good stuff.
All of my therapy sessions have been online.
Yeah.
And not everybody can afford therapy. And that's where this platform comes into play. Not everybody can afford therapy. Not everybody is, I guess, like you said, of the mindset where they feel that therapy is needed in the traditional sense of going and talking to somebody else. Not analyzing, but talking to somebody else.
Breaking down your life.
Right. It's more so the reason that I want to start this platform, want to start this community, is that, I just want people to know that they can be better.
Some people don't learn from just breaking it down. Some people learn from other people's experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So with a community that we're building up, maybe a story that you guys have can help another audience member.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Maybe something we went through can help everybody in our audience.
Yeah. And something that, our guests, our friends, our family members, something that they went through might help you. And it's just a place to have a resource to think about new things, to learn new things, and to, I guess, experience the world outside of your bubble. Mm-hmm. Part of my growth throughout this year has been to understand that I am just a human being. I have flaws. I make mistakes. And there are some people who appreciate me for everything that I am at its base level, and there are some people who don't, and both are perfectly okay. Mm-hmm. I'm continuously growing. We're continuously growing. Facts. This year has we just got married September 2019 and then immediately rolled into 2020 with all of its worth. So, we have had to learn and change and grow our relationship in different ways.
It's funny, just speaking on the whole marriage aspect a little bit. You go into this marriage where you think, yeah, we're married, we love each other, we got our back, this, that, and the other, forever and ever. But I don't think anybody who got married before this year was expecting to be with their significant other 24/7.
All day, every day, nonstop. Wake up, see you all day.
Still there.
Go to sleep.
Oh.
Still there.
Still there. You don't want to go see no? Okay. You're still
I got poop. You gonna sit here?
Okay.
Right. Okay, cool.
You don't want to visit family for a little bit by yourself? No? Okay. Cool. But I say that because when we got married, we wasn't expecting to be with each other 24/7. I mean, we have our rest of our lives, but there's specific spots there that work. Maybe I go hang out with my family by myself one day. Maybe I go hang out with my friends. Maybe I can just go for a walk and meet some random stranger on the side of the road and have a good conversation.
Go on a walk through the mall. Go.
But nah, you can't do that now. Not with this COVID stuff out here. So now you're locked in with your significant other.
Yes.
And now the issues that you didn't see previously. Mm-hmm. Now it has time to come to the light
and fester.
So that was a test.
That was a test.
That was fun.
But throughout,
it wasn't fun, but it was fun.
It was great.
It was great.
It was great.
Say it one more time. I'll believe
it. So we're all growing and we're all continuously changing. And I have started to realize that I owe it to myself to be myself. Mm. I have grown up, and again, it's the garden metaphor. I grew up with my garden being the example. I was the oldest. I grew up as the oldest sibling, oldest cousin, oldest everything. So I was made the example.
Imagine walking through a museum, and your parents are the curators, and they put you on display.
Yes, thank you.
Here we have Sharon.
That was great.
Do everything she's doing, and you'll be fine.
So Sharon having to be the do everything she's doing and you'll be fine person, I was like, okay, I can't do that because I don't want people to think about this that way, or I can't do that because I have to set a good example, or how will my parents think about this, or what is my aunt gonna say about that? Or like,
who knows what they'll say after if they know anything about that.
Exactly. So I grew up, and again, this is not to bash my family. Everybody needs an example, and I was great. I was honored to be that example.
Everybody wants to be the example.
But not everybody wants to be the example. And not only that, after I'm done, I think I'm done being the example right now. All of my younger people are grown. They're setting examples for their own selves, having their own families.
I got it.
So it's like, I don't have to be the example. So since I don't have to be the example anymore, it was extremely hard for me to just determine what I like and what I wanted to do and not be afraid to do them. Mm-hmm. I spent majority of my younger adult years, I say that like I'm old. I'm not that old, but almost 30. Whatever. But I spent a lot of my younger years.
That's my cougar. You spent a lot of your young.
I'm trying to talk and you keep saying stuff. I've spent majority of my younger years making decisions based on what pleased everybody else and based on what was going to set a good example for everyone else. Now that I'm not that anymore, I had such a hard time doing things and being comfortable doing them because I was constantly afraid of what somebody else was going to think or how somebody else was going to view this, or if I was going to be a good example, or who was going to reprimand me for not being a good example, whether I was or not. So I've had to learn to let that go. And it's not easy when for years your internal monologue has told you one thing and you have to constantly fight it to do something else. So I've learned that I'm a person with flaws, with gifts, with creativity, with everything that encompasses it. And not everybody is going to like everything that I have encompassed. But that does not make me a horrible, tragic person. That doesn't make me the worst of the worst just because somebody doesn't agree with something that I do. Mm-hmm. It makes me human. And I'm taking that lesson and showing other people how... Not showing other people. That's not right. I'm taking that lesson and I guess treating other people the same way. So knowing that people make their own decisions, knowing that people have their own gifts, knowing that people have their own flaws, and that not everything is going to be something that I agree with, but that doesn't make them a horrible person just because I don't agree with it. So I'm taking that lesson and moving into season 3. And moving forward, we'll have more adult content. And not adult in the sense of, not adult. I'm going to say, moving forward, because I'm not so afraid. I'm not living my life holding my breath. I'm not so afraid of what people are going to see the podcast and think and how they're going to treat me afterwards. How you treat me is how you treat me. And if you listen to one episode and or you see one post on Facebook and you make an entire determination about who I am as a person just based on one thing. You didn't get to know me, so do those thoughts really have value?
Right.
No. So I'm moving forward and letting go and not holding my breath, not being afraid to live my life.
Relax, it's your stuff.
It's my stuff.
Do what you want.
Do what I want. And people are gonna like it. Or they're not. That doesn't change anything about me doing what I want to do. So yes. So with that change, there are some changes to our content.
So what are they going to expect for season 3?
For season 3, our content is going to be, and not just for season 3, moving forward even.
I didn't know if there was a theme overarching for the season.
Oh, I'm gonna get there. Well, I don't think there's an overarching theme.
Okay.
But there's going to be focus points.
Got you. Focus points.
Focus points. But I will get there.
Our live doesn't have a mic, so you gotta enunciate.
Oh, my bad, y'all. I didn't want to be like extra loud. First of all, I feel like I'm always extra loud.
So I turned the mics down.
Okay. I just didn't want like the recording to be like and then, like
I don't know what that noise was.
Okay. So I'll get to the focal points later. And like I said, I'm still just figuring all of this out as we go. It is what it is. But our content is changing because I'm not so afraid of what other people are thinking or what other people are, or how other people are going to perceive me. That's not necessarily my concern. My concern is growing a community of like-minded people who want to grow and change and be their best selves.
It's an open community.
Open community. So our content, majority of our content will be PG-13, which means there will be, family-friendly themes.
To get one cuss word a season.
Episode. Some of our content will have cursing in it. It's not going to be a bleep, 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 and then there's bleep, bleep, bleep. Like, no, it's going to be more so like Peter said, there's going to be 1 or 2 words a season. But I'm not.
It's called passion.
So there will be some semi-explicit language. Like I said, it's PG-13. PG-13 is like, all right, you can take a 13-year-old to this, but it's up to your discretion on whether you want to take a 13-year-old to this. So there will be cursing, immature themes, and we also are going to have a more in-depth, more adult discussions, and sometimes growth comes with those hard discussions. Those discussions will be rated R, and all of our rated R content will be on our Patreon. I'll get to that later. I'm trying to stay with my outline here, guys. So our content is PG-13. I love everyone. I'm not going to be out to purposely hurt people or purposely bash other people or to shame other people into doing anything. No, it's just me not being afraid of what other people are going to think and making the content that I want to make. That helps me with the hope and the intention that it will help others as well.
Removing your boundaries.
Removing my boundaries. Or changing them. I'm not removing my boundaries. I'm changing my boundaries. And at the end of the day, growth is the name of the game. Like I said, based on our experiences, based on how we've lived our lives, I feel like the only way to really grow and to change is to force yourself to be in new and uncomfortable places. New and uncomfortable places. Yeah. To be challenged. To be challenged. I want people to come to my platform and to see something that they may not necessarily agree with at first glance. However, I would hope that the people in our community would look at something that they don't necessarily agree with, break it down and understand the other person's point of view in an attempt to expand their thinking.
It's called communicating.
And like I said, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But like I said, the whole reason I started Scott Enterprises was to share knowledge and to help people grow and become their best selves. And sometimes that knowledge is through book work and reading books. Other times it's just through talking to different people and getting to know people who did not grow up in your same city, town, state. And people that have a different view and people who don't necessarily agree with you. Disagreement is not always bad.
Growth is uncomfortable.
Growth is uncomfortable. So moving forward, we're going to be focused on sharing people's stories in an attempt to facilitate growth in others. So, 2 more things, and then I'm going to wrap it up because I feel like I've been here with you all talking and rambling for a while. And like I said, thanks for coming to see us. So, our ideal community. I'm growing a community of people like-minded who want to, like I said, change and become the best version of themselves. Episode in our last season was about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Real quick refresher, there was a philosopher, Maslow, who through his teachings and working with people, came up with the pyramid of needs, and essentially says that unless one tier is met, it's impossible to succeed fully at the next tier of your life. So like basic food, water, shelter, safety, baselines, food, water, shelter. Those are your basic needs. And then your safety needs, safety and security. Then your community and belonging, love, something, and then self-actualization, which is like I found my goal and my whole purpose in life, and I am healed, and everything is kosher.
Everything is copacetic.
Right. So, the community and belongings tier. In that episode, I expressed that I was struggling with the community and the belonging aspect of my hierarchy of needs. And through that work, talking to myself, I don't want to say that, not in a crazy way, but just like seriously, introspection. I realized that I love the community that I'm in, and the community that I have grown up and been a part of is great for me. However, it's not necessarily the best. So that's why I wanted to start a new community of people who have the same goals and the same mindset, and people who are just trying to figure out life like we are. My goal is to create a community. I feel like a lot of people, I speculate that a lot of people look at YouTubers and people who have an online following and an online community as folks who want to have fans. I don't want to have fans. I've seen what y'all do to celebrities. As soon as a celebrity makes one mistake or
out the window,
you go see what somebody said 20 years ago, and it's just like, I don't want to be a celebrity. I don't want to have fans. I want to have a community of people. My overall goal with Scott Enterprises, with podcasting, is not to pay my bills. It's literally to help people and to give back to the community. I want to have networking events for small businesses. I want to have classes and places for students and kids to come spend the day and get to learn a new trade, talk to more people, mentorship programs. Like I want to build a community. And your community does not have to be people that are in a certain mile radius. You can have a community. If anything, 2020 has told us you can do literally anything you want to online. You can have meetings, classes, parties, groups, like everything. You can do a lot of things online. So I want to create a community where I can help people and put people in
touch.
Thank you. And put people in touch with other people who can help them, and just grow and maintain that way. Yeah. I want to get back to the community. And like I said, our ideal community is a group of people who are young or young at heart, who don't have life figured out, because I don't have it figured out. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I know everything or that you should do everything that I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, so.
Or even so, also have a need or want to help. Mm-hmm. Like you say, you want mentorship programs, so we need mentors.
Yep.
So people who are willing to give information to see somebody else be successful.
And people who are willing to be vulnerable and share what they have going on. There have been people that I've talked to recently, because I'm coming out of my shell and I'm going to be like, look, this is semi-personal, but I'm going to ask you anyway. I want people to be able to be vulnerable, because once you break down and let go of the idea that what happens in my house needs to stay in my house, outside of the house is where you find help. Outside of the house is where you find people who are going through things like that you're going through. Outside of the house is where you can find healing and joy. And
you can't grow if you staying around the same.
So I want to build a community where we can, people who are geared to help others, people who want to invest, because an investment is not a quick return. This Sky Enterprises is an investment. It's not a quick return. Mm-hmm. We're growing. It's going to be slow. It's going to be deliberate. But people who are interested in investing in a community, people who are vulnerable and want to share their struggles and help other people, and people who understand that I don't know everything, and not I and Sharon, but like you personally, individuals do not know everything. So collaboration is the only way that we can grow and change, or I feel is the only way we can grow and change and be comfortable. So I said all that to say, this is not a place for shoulds. People, what works for you don't work for me. What works for Peter doesn't work for me. What works for Mary Sue down the street doesn't work for me. And what works for me doesn't work for them. So I don't want people that are focused on the shoulds. You should do this. You should do that. You should be this. Nobody should or do or be anything. We all are figuring it out for ourselves. We are all individuals with our own individualized worldview.
The thing for my family this year is do what you want. It's really that simple.
It's really that
simple. Don't put yourself in a box. Don't try to put yourself in between boundaries. Do what you want. Whether somebody thinks you should or shouldn't.
Do what you want. And honestly, if you think you've got life figured out and you know that you're doing it the best with no room for error, no room for growth, and you don't think you can learn anything from anybody regardless of their age, I love you, but this may not be the platform for you. I'm sorry. We don't know anything. We're growing and we're changing and we're figuring it out as we grow along. My 5-year-old niece may have something to teach me that's more impactful than anything a 70-year-old could teach me. So
you never know where you learn something from.
You never know where you learn something from. So if you're very not routine and regimen, if you're of the mindset of I got it figured out, I don't really need no help, sorry. It won't be beneficial for you to watch our stuff. So I hope that we can grow and we can share and we can move forward and be on a good path where everybody is learning and collaborating and growing together. And there are a couple of ways that I kind of want to facilitate that growth. For one, everybody who is interested and wants to be a part of this community, just start by following us on all our socials. We have a Facebook, we have a Twitter, although our Twitter is not very active. It's hard being on Twitter, y'all. Like, I be trying to get a following and grow people, and folks be like, huh, like, no follow. That's it. So, we have socials, all of our Scott Enterprises socials. We have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our YouTube page, subscribe to our YouTube page.
Use those comment sections.
Yes. Like and comment on our posts. Like, I don't know what you guys are interested in, what y'all want to see, and the way y'all are trying to change and what you're working through, unless you let me know so that I can go out and find some resources and some people to talk to. I can't give you content that you like to see unless you tell me that you like to see it.
You can't help support the community if you don't comment either.
You can't help support the community if you don't comment. Who is going to see what's in your lovely brain if you don't share it with folks? And I know it could be intimidating, because I find it extremely intimidating. Because the internet is a very...
It's the Wild Wild West, y'all.
There you go. I get intimidated commenting on people's things, because you feel like, oh, well, I don't know enough about this subject. Or, what if somebody comes at me or says what I'm doing is wrong, or whatever your reason may be. But as I'm starting to break out and create genuine connections with people, I need you all to start breaking out and creating general connections with people. Genuine connections with people. I said genuine connections.
I said general.
Oh, well, that part. So yes, please subscribe and follow us on all of our socials. Like and comment on our posts. Send us messages. If you are struggling with something and you just want somebody to talk to, if you need to vent, if you have a question about us.
Right, if you have a question or a thought about our content and what we said in the video, message us.
Send us a message so that we can keep that dialogue going. And last but not least, subscribe to our Patreon. So, that spicy content that I talked about earlier, the rated R stuff, that's going to be on Patreon. Patreon is going to be the place, like I said, creating a community, helping people, all of our stuff that's on our socials, and, well, not our socials, all of our stuff that's on YouTube and Facebook, that's going to be our PG-13 content. Still out helping people, but very, I don't want to say safe. It's not safe, quote unquote.
It's curated for a certain audience.
It's curated for I don't even want to say curated, because I'm not curating anything.
Okay, I'll let you work through it.
And this is the growth that we've been talking about in the thanks for rocking with me part, because I don't always have it together. But Patreon is for the vulnerable parts. The extremely vulnerable. Everything is vulnerable, but Patreon is where...
That's our Wild Wild West.
That's our Wild Wild West. Yes. It's the gang hideout, for real, in every sense of the word. That's where we're going to share stuff about sex, stuff about religion, stuff about death, like all the hard things to talk about. The trigger-worthy content, that's what I was looking for, sorry. That's the distinction. So Facebook is stuff that's not easily going to trigger you and make you think about your hard parts in your life, and it's not necessarily going to make you cry. If you cry, let it go, feel it, have it. But the Patreon is the Facebook is the non-triggering content, whereas Patreon is literally trigger warning content, like everything. Like I said, we're talking about religion, we're talking about death, suicide, mental health, all of the hard things that make you be like,
things you might not want to watch with your parents.
Or your kids, if you have kids.
It might just get awkward.
It'll get real awkward real quick. But that's our Patreon. Our Patreon is up. And it's another subscription service. Like it's like Netflix, Disney Plus, things like that. You subscribe to us for a monthly fee, and that monthly fee gets you access to live recordings. So everybody who's here watching us live now will get to see every single one of our recordings live. And watching us live will give you the chance to comment and ask us questions about things right then and there. Being a part of the Patreon essentially allows you to curate where you want, to some extent, where you want the conversations to go. By asking questions, by liking certain things,
sharing your opinion on our topic.
Sharing your opinion on our topic right then and there as other people see it as we're going through it. So you get access to live recordings. You get access to our first season. And we're going to start archiving
previous seasons.
We will only have 2 seasons of our podcast on Facebook and Instagram and all that other stuff. The archived episodes will be on the Patreon, so you get live access to live recordings for joining our Patreon. You get our entire catalog of services. You get bonus episodes because, like I said, some stuff is too hot for Facebook and YouTube. So you get those bonus episodes. And, of course, once we have merch, if we do decide to go that route, I'm not quite sure. But if we do decide to go that route, you will get discounts on merch, events, discounts on merch, discount on events, and just more access to us as individuals. I don't want a fan base. I don't want people. I don't want a fan base. I want a community of people. I am on the base level with the rest of y'all. I am not set out apart. I am just like everybody else, just trying to figure it out. Just a part of the community. Y'all just hear my voice more often. So our Patreon is live. Link will be in the description below. If you are inclined to join our Patreon and subscribe to us, please do so. Also, I just want to ensure you that you're investing in the community. All Patreon funds do not go in my pocket. None of them go in my pocket. A gracious gift from the Lord is us being able to still pay our bills and provide for our own lifestyle. So please do not feel like if you subscribe to our Patreon, you're putting money in our pockets. That's not the case. All of our Patreon funds will go back to paying talent, paying guests who we giving them a gift for them coming onto our platform. So our Patreon funds will go to that. Patreon funds will go to hosting events. Patreon funds will go to upgrading our equipment. I want more cameras. I want more lights. I want better microphones because I can't get too loud. If you know me in person, I'll be loud. So these mics, I love them.
They always have a special place in my heart.
But they're 1.0 mics. We need 2.0 mics. So all of the Patreon funds are going back into the community. They're going to go to outreach for us being able to help people in their time of need and be able to help people provide. We want to let you all know and assure you that you're not funding our lifestyle. We appreciate it. We can self-sustain and keep ourselves going without Patreon. But the reason for Patreon, like I said, is to be able to expand, is to be able to
give you guys better quality videos.
Better quality content to, like I said, pay our guests to... Eventually, I want to have a studio space so that when we come and have interviews, it's not people coming and sitting in my kitchen. So Patreon will go to things like that. Please don't be under the assumption. Please do not be under the...
It's getting hot.
It is getting hot. We're going to wrap it up soon. Please do not be under the assumption that you're funding our lifestyle or you're paying our bills. No, you're investing in the community. And with that said, thank you all for coming. We appreciate you all for sticking with us, like I said, these first 2 seasons into this 3rd season. And as we move forward, I want to expand our outreach. I want to build up our community. And I feel like I would be remiss with trying to do that if I didn't give y'all the lowdown 100 truth about it all.
Okay.
So to wrap things up, question.
Oh, okay.
What impactful lesson did you learn in 2020?
I guess to feel your feelings out loud.
You want to elaborate?
Not really.
Okay.
No, growing up, feelings were just that. Feelings, you feel them, you don't talk about them, you feel them and you move on.
Mm-hmm.
Being locked in the house for almost a year. With a very emotional woman that I love dearly. It doesn't help if you just keep it to yourself. No. She won't allow you to keep it to yourself. Mm-mm. So I'm trying to work on feeling my feelings out loud.
I appreciate that, genuinely, because let me tell you, it's hard to have to walk around with somebody who you can tell is upset but won't tell you that they're upset.
I ain't never really upset.
Yeah, you say that, and then you be slamming doors and putting stuff.
I don't slam doors.
You don't slam doors.
Exaggerating.
But your steps get a little heavier. For me, impactful lesson that I've learned that everything is a process. And a process does not mean that it's going to be done quickly. Everything is a process. Learning myself has been a process. There are times where I have been frustrated because I'm like, I should be past this. Oh, you just burped?
I did. Oh. You were supposed to ignore that and keep going.
Everything is a process. Growing this business is a process. Growing and healing within myself is a process. And you have to be patient and just trust the process. I have felt like there have been times where people who have done less than me have had more than me, and I'm just like, but I'm here too, God. What's up? Like, but it's all a process, and you have to trust timing. And I was trying to find something. I'm going to find it real quick before we leave. So I read this in my daily devotional, and this really spoke to me. We've all seen restored furniture. Restoring furniture involves stripping away old varnish or paint with strong chemicals. This reveals all the nooks, crannies, and original spots on the piece of furniture. Then, sanding takes place where the wood is rubbed with coarse sandpaper in order to level out its imperfections. Then, the furniture is ready to receive a new stain or paint color. It's ready for a new look. Even restoring furniture is a process. You have to strip off all of the old, worn, tattered, polished, the old fabric. You have to tear all that down. And then, once all that's gone, then you sand off the rough edges.
And smooth
it out. And then, only after you've stripped everything out, smoothed everything over, and made a fresh new
canvas
foundation, then that's when you get the new coat of paint and the new fabric and the new oil to be seen and shiny and sparkly all over again. Everything is a process, y'all. Trust the process. Trust the process with building this community. Trust the process while listening to this podcast, because I'm sure I've lost a couple of folk along the way. But just trust the process. Trust your growth. Trust your individualized process, because where you are in your process isn't where somebody else is going to be. And where somebody else ends up may not be how you look at the end of yours. Just trust your process. So, thank you to 2020 and all of the lessons that it has taught. Thank you to the Lord for keeping us through all of this. Thank you to all of our subscribers and all of the people who like, share, comment on all of our posts. For the next year, like I said, I just want to build our community and make sure that I am able to help people in the way that they need to be helped. And I'm not a mind reader. So I hope that you all let us know what ways you need to be helped. Let us know what things you really enjoy. I mean, shoot, if somebody is like, hey, I'm trying to find a husband, let's have a matchmaking episode. I'm for it.
They do it on Zoom. Do those 2-minute.
Yep.
Joint speed dating.
Speed dating.
There you go.
So anything you want to say to wrap up?
Stick with us, y'all. It's going places.
Trust the process. It's going places. I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right. It's been real, guys.
Bye.
Oh, that's what you say. My bad.
Hey everybody, co-host Peter stopping by to say thanks for watching and to let you know if you like this video, check out last week's video and the playlist with all of our episodes. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when our vlogs, podcasts, and gameplays drop. It's been real, y'all.